I'm not on already. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our week number 5 Twitch live stream for my research methods class. See a bunch of you getting logged in and joining me on this beautifully rainy, cloudy day. Is everything coming through okay on your end? Can you all hear me and see me okay? Just to make sure before I keep going. I'll wait just a second. If someone could let me know in the chat, that'd be amazing. Yes. Okay, great. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Thais. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, we are in week number 5. It's hard to believe that we are already past the quarter way point of the semester. 4 weeks in the books. We're in week number 5 now. So thank you again for those of you who are here with me today. What I want to do is just kind of go over a little bit of feedback from last week, and then we'll talk about what we have going on this week for week number 5. So it's kind of like a normal week this week with a little self-assessment thrown in there. But before I get to this week, let's look at last week. Last week we were looking at APA formatting, the first part. So there'll be 3 different pieces of that APA puzzle. And so last week we were looking at, when do we need to cite things and what is APA formatting and that kind of stuff. So discussion number 4, most of you did a really great job. I would say the biggest reason that people lost points was just not really explaining your answer enough. Several of you said that yes, yes, no, and I think that was pretty accurate. But what I wanted is kind of some justification as to why you said that. And a few of you, I wanted a little bit more. If you find that you're consistently missing like a point or two, make sure that you elaborate in your responses and really show off that knowledge and understanding, and hopefully that will get you up to full points. But most of you are doing a great job. Don't forget to also reply to a classmate to get those 2 points. So that was the discussion for last week. We also had exam number 1. And a lot of you should be very happy with how you did. The high score was 100%. The low score was like a very low B. So everybody B's and A's on it, which made me really happy to see. A lot of you finished it relatively quickly. So what that tells me is that so far everyone seems to be understanding the materials. You seem to be feeling good about them and having them be clear. I will say that it's going to start to get a little bit more challenging from here. I feel like we've kind of set the stage and we had a nice few weeks of easing into it. And then starting this week, we're going to start looking at some more core stuff. So we're going to build on what we had before. But I would love to encourage you, especially in this class, use the exams as a bit of like a learning opportunity. So if you're happy with how you did, keep doing the same thing. It clearly worked for you. If you wish you had done a little bit better, now is a really good time to kind of mess with that a little bit. You could study a little bit more or do the study guide if you didn't do it on this last exam. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to reflect on that a little bit this week, which we'll talk about in a moment. But for the most part, again, a lot of you should be feeling really good as we pass the quarter mark and have that first exam under our belts. So I'm going to move on to week number 5. But if you have any comments or questions or anything about last week or any of the materials from last week, feel free to put it in the chat. Otherwise, this week we move on to chapter 3. And similar to what I did with chapter 2, I have broken chapter 3 up into 2 parts, just because it made sense to me to do that and really make sure that we get a good foundation. So this week, we're looking at chapter 3, the first half of the chapter, pages 55 to 66. So as always, make sure you do 3 things for every chapter. So read the first half of chapter 3 in the book, read through the lecture, and watch the lecture video. So if you click on the lecture for chapter 3, part 1, what you'll see is we're looking at 3 claims for validity. So we're looking at, what are variables, what are the 3 different types of claims that we can do in psychology. Again, we're starting to get into some more core content starting with this week now that we've set the stage a little bit. So make sure you read through all of that. Make sure on the Beyond the Book page that you read through this as well. We're going to talk a little bit more about correlational research this week. I have a little video that I made about correlation not implying causation, a really kind of key concept with correlational research, that correlation and causation are not the same thing. And I have some examples in here that might be really helpful for you. And then on the last page, you have the key terms, the terms you need to know for the exam that'll come up in a few weeks. If you wanted to study one chapter at a time, these are the terms from chapter 3, part 1 that you would want to review. You also, as always, have a lecture video where I'm lecturing to some PowerPoint slides. Might be a good idea to take notes, pay attention, and of course, as always, read the chapter in the textbook. Once you've done those things, you can go to discussion number 5. And as always, you have my instructions up here at the top and my video underneath it with some kind of points to consider for this discussion. So you're going to read this short article below where it says 8 ways that screens are ruining your family's life. I'm not sure that my children who are on their screens right now would agree, but 8 ways that screens are ruining your family's life. Once you've read the article, you're going to answer these 4 questions related to the content from this week. So number 1, you'll summarize the article in a couple of sentences. Make sure you include the author's conclusions and findings in your summary. This is a skill that I think is a really good one to learn. If somebody has you read an article, how could you kind of summarize it in just a few sentences as if you were sharing it with somebody else? So summarize it, including the findings and conclusions. And then you're going to think about the 3 types of claims that we discussed in the textbook and the lecture. So what type of claim is the author making in this article? Is it a frequency claim, an association claim, or a causal claim? And then the second piece of this, is the author's claim accurate or justified? In other words, is the type of claim that the author is making actually the correct type of claim according to your reading? Hint, if you're having trouble determining the type of claim, think about whether the variables were just measured or manipulated. Are they related to each other? Can we determine that they cause each other? And just as a little heads up, right, sometimes people will make a certain type of claim, but it's not necessarily accurate or justified. So make sure you're thinking about what they did in the article and if they can make that and explain. Number 3, you're going to find 2 different examples in the article of terms or variables that really need to be operationalized. They need an operational definition in order to be successfully measured or evaluated. There are several. I want you to find 2. And then number 4, thinking about potential third variables and or the directionality effect. How could any of the variables in this article possibly be explained? How else could they be explained? So 4 questions related to the article that's right here. So definitely read the article first after you've done the chapter and the reading, and then you'll be able to answer these 4 questions. And as always, make sure you really elaborate and give me everything that you know, show off that knowledge and understanding so that you get full points. And don't forget to also reply to a classmate. So if you like what Thais had to say, or Katie, for example, or whoever, right, you're going to reply to them to get those 2 points of credit. Okay, so that is the main thing that you're working on this week. You have discussion number 5 plus your reading and lecture.